What if I told you your brain isn't the only organ shaping your thoughts, emotions, and mental health? What if your mood swings, anxiety, foggy thinking, or even depression weren't just in your head, but had roots in your stomach? For years, we believed the brain called the shots while the rest of the body followed orders. But science is now telling a very different and very exciting story. Your gut is more than a digestive system. It's your second brain, and it's deeply connected to how you think, feel, and heal. Today, we're talking about the gut-brain connection, a relationship that could completely change the way you understand your mental wellness. What is the gut-brain connection? Let's start with the basics. The gut-brain connection is the complex communication network between your digestive system and your central nervous system, specifically your brain. This network is powered by a superhighway of nerves, most importantly, the vagus nerve, which sends signals back and forth between the brain and the gut all day long. Think of it like a two-way conversation. Your gut doesn't just digest food. It sends emotional and biochemical signals to your brain. And your brain doesn't just think, it responds to the condition of your gut. This feedback loop means your belly is deeply involved in your mood, your focus, your stress responses, and even your long-term mental health. In other words, if your gut isn't well, your mind may struggle too, no matter how much talk therapy or meditation you do. Now meet your second brain, the enteric nervous system. This isn't a metaphor. Your gut literally has its own nervous system, called the enteric nervous system, made up of over 100 million neurons embedded in the walls of your gastrointestinal tract. That's more neurons than are found in your spinal cord. This second brain doesn't help you think or dream, but it does regulate digestion, monitor inflammation, produce neurotransmitters, and communicate with your central brain. That's why researchers now refer to the gut as a neurochemical factory, because it produces many of the same brain chemicals that influence mood and emotion. For example, over 90% of the body's serotonin, a chemical linked to feelings of happiness and calm, is produced in the gut. Let that sink in. Most of your mood chemistry is made below the neck. How gut health affects mental health. So what happens when your gut health is off balance? Things like bloating, constipation, chronic indigestion, or frequent stomach upsets aren't just digestive annoyances. They could be indicators of inflammation, microbiome imbalance, or nervous system dysfunction. These issues can lead to a dysregulated gut-brain axis, meaning the messages between your gut and brain become distorted or disrupted. That's when people often begin to notice cognitive and emotional symptoms: increased anxiety, low mood or depression, poor stress tolerance, brain fog or trouble concentrating, sleep disturbances. The gut and brain are in constant conversation, and if the gut is inflamed, overworked, or stripped of healthy bacteria, the brain starts receiving distress signals. These aren't just gut feelings. They're biological facts. A key player in this connection is something called the gut microbiome, a vast ecosystem of trillions of bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms that live in your intestines. When your microbiome is diverse and balanced, it supports digestion, regulates immunity, and helps manage stress and mood. But when it becomes imbalanced, a state called dysbiosis, harmful bacteria can take over, leading to chronic inflammation and disrupted neurotransmitter production. Studies have shown that individuals with depression or anxiety often have a different microbial profile compared to those without, suggesting a real link between what's living in your gut and how you're feeling emotionally. The microbiome is like a garden. What you feed it and how you care for it matters. Stress also plays a major role in this relationship. When you're under chronic stress, emotional, physical, or psychological, your brain releases stress hormones like cortisol, which directly impact your gut lining and microbiome. This can cause leaky gut, increased inflammation, or changes in appetite and digestion. But here's the twist. Once your gut is inflamed or irritated, it sends danger signals back to the brain, amplifying feelings of stress, worry, or agitation. It becomes a vicious loop. Stress affects the gut, and an unhealthy gut amplifies stress. That's why burnout doesn't just feel mental. It hits your whole body, especially your digestive system. So what can you do to nourish this powerful gut-brain connection? Healing your gut is one of the most direct ways to support your mental health, and it doesn't always require expensive supplements or extreme diets. Start with small, sustainable steps. Eat more fiber. Plant-based fibers feed the good bacteria in your gut. Think fruits, vegetables, legumes, and whole grains. Incorporate fermented foods. Foods like yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, and miso introduce healthy bacteria that support microbiome diversity. Limit ultra-processed foods. Excess sugar, artificial additives, and preservatives feed inflammatory bacteria and harm gut lining. Manage stress intentionally. Practices like deep breathing, mindfulness, yoga, or regular movement help calm the nervous system and support digestive regulation. Consider probiotics. While not a one-size-fits-all solution, targeted probiotic strains may help rebalance your gut microbiota, especially after illness or antibiotics. Remember, healing the gut is not about perfection. It's about consistency and compassion. The gut-brain connection is not a wellness trend. It's a medical reality, one that's finally being taken seriously by psychologists, neuroscientists, and physicians alike. Understanding your second brain empowers you to support your mental health from a completely new direction. And that's especially important in a world where many people are overstressed, under-rested, and emotionally overwhelmed. If you've been treating mental health only from the neck up, maybe it's time to look lower, into the core of your body, your belly, your microbiome. Because sometimes your healing doesn't begin in your thoughts. It begins in your gut, and that changes everything. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and please be sure to check out our other mental health education videos.